Indeed, you are tuned in to the Sunlit Room at 90.7 FM KSER. And as promised, we are now joined in the studio by our special guest, two members of Everett's own Preacher's Wife. We're joined by Brad and Sarah. Brad, Sarah, how are you guys doing today?
Yeah, we're fantastic.
We're doing great. We're glad to be here.
Super excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much for making the time to come and hang out with us. They're here today because they have a brand new CD dropping next week, and they're doing a CD release show Saturday night, January 17th, right here in the city of Everett. They're going to be at the Cannery, and it's not just Preacher's Wife, which would more than be worth your time, but we also got the Sunlit Room favorites, the Winterlings, and one of the hottest bands in Western Washington right now, Cataldo, an absolutely fantastic triple bill. And the name of the new CD is To Learn the Land and Live.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if you show up at the Cannery on Saturday night, you might hear a little something that sounds like this.
I see water, I see clouds, I see a poor man dressed in rags. You've been mud, you've been cement, you've been a fence, a sort of self-righteousness. The tongue of a slander, the gun of a murder, the black, the white, the cheap and easy like eyes to hide behind. Fuel for the conceited man, all in my time, all in my own eyes. But you're changing shapes all the time. You look so different from where I started from. One might wonder what to trust or where to go, but all I know is that you're changing shapes. You're changing shapes all the time. You've been untouchable, unkind. You've been my safe, my lucky strike, my saving unknown from the little things as tangible as air, soft as a mother's love. Close as my beating heart, forgiving as the sunrise, as sure as the tide. I never like when you haunt me, you haunt me. Changing shapes all the time. You look so different from where I started from. One might wonder what to trust or where to go, but all I know that you're changing shapes.
Preacher's Wife, live in the Sunlit Room. Brad, Sarah, that was wonderful. But kids, I got to tell you, as great as that was, if you head to the show on Saturday night, it is a full 6-member band that will blow your socks off.
Yeah, it's a lot more rock and roll.
They are definitely a wonderful, wonderful band to see live. And if you've never seen them before, again, it's Saturday night, January 17th at the Cannery for a CD release party.
Yes.
Now, when did Preacher's Wife come into existence? How long have you guys been a band?
Well, we just started thinking through this, and I realized that our first show was in October 2011, and it was a show under my own name, so Sarah Feinberg. And I asked Brad, I was playing at the Anchor, and I asked Brad if he would just support me with mandolin and backing vocals, and I called up a friend of mine to play drums, Greg. I can't remember his last name. Simons. Greg Simons, that's who it was. And he moved to California now at this point. But so it was a 3-piece at the Anchor, and it went really well, and we got a lot of great feedback. And I think like the first thing Brad said to me after the show is, "So when are we practicing again?" And I thought that was cool.
It was so much fun.
He knew when he was onto something good. He was like, "No, I think I'm going to ride this train for a little while."
I hitched my wagon to this stuff. So.
Well, it's a mutual kinship here. So. Yeah.
Now, when you first did start this band, or when you were first playing, was it a hobby, or did you go into it knowing that you wanted this to turn into a full-time, 365 type gig?
Yeah.
That's actually a great question. I think at first it was a thing where we're like, we all love playing music, so let's just play music. And I think it became a thing at first where all we cared about was just doing exactly that. We're friends, and we liked being around each other, and we liked making music. But the more we played, and the more that people responded to us, we kind of thought, maybe this is actually something. Maybe we can actually do something with this. And at the end of the day, as long as it's fun, that's all that matters to me. Mm-hmm. And I think that we would all say that. But so far, it's been really exciting to be received well. So.
Yeah, I was actually, that led in perfectly. Because I was going to ask if there was a particular point where you started to think, hey, this could be more than a hobby. We're pretty good. Did you have that kind of aha moment, or did it just build slowly over time?
I feel like I'm not quite ready to even have that aha moment yet.
Oh, you're still not even there.
I would love, like, Brad and I, we've both been playing music for our lives. Like,
right.
We've been in lots of bands and had lots of projects with friends and stuff. So I think for us, like, to play music vocationally would be a dream, and it's always been a dream. But obviously, that you never know. You just never know if it'll work or not. But lately I've been like, okay, like, this is working, and people like us and they're coming to our shows, and it means the world. It just means the world to us. So
yeah, and timing is everything.
Totally.
And you guys just happen to come along right when the Everett Music Initiative popped up. And those guys are doing yeoman's work, really trying to bring a music scene to Everett.
Yes.
And they're incredible what they're making happen.
Totally.
How did you guys get involved with them?
It's really funny. I met RC and Steven just surrounding this conversation I was having with a couple other friends of mine about what would it be like to have a music festival in downtown Everett. Mm-hmm. I was fairly new to the area. I moved here about 7 years ago, and I remember talking to Sean Straub, who works with Experience Everett, and he was like, "Oh, you got to meet these guys. You got to meet these guys." And so we just kind of chatted about it. And it was like a pipe dream. And I sort of thought, I would help out. And meanwhile, those guys are doers, and they just put something together. And then last year, of course, Fisherman's Village, and how exciting that was, and just what they've built in this city. I mean, those guys are. I mean, I'm privileged to call them friends. We're privileged to call them friends
Totally.
as a band.
Yeah.
And those of us that live in Snohomish County and care about the arts and music in specifically, we really owe them a debt as well.
Absolutely.
The work they're doing, the hours they're putting in, and I don't imagine they're probably getting a lot back for all that trouble at this point.
No.
But they just do it for love, and it's incredible. So thank you for being part of that as well, and for helping to grow this community of the arts here in Everett. It's absolutely wonderful.
Fortunate to be part of it.
How about we hit them with another song, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I turn my back to the shadow. I've got nothing to say. I'm done promising the future. To heal up for a while. I hope you can see through what I have made. I hope you can see through what I made. It's taken a long, long time to learn the lines of my own face. I've been moving far too fast to recognize visions of grandeur. We come on as biggest bets instead of debts. I never had I thought it looked like this. It's taken a long, long time to learn the lines of my face. It's taken a long, long time to learn the lines of my face. The earnest are strong, but the earnest must feel. And with every fall, it's hard to tell if they're more sturdy or more broken than before. Working hard just to find what has been there all along. Repeating words I don't understand. Please don't ask me to bend the way that I surely break. Even so, now I know how to stand. It's taken a long, long time to learn the lines of my own face. I've been moving far too fast to recognize visions of grandeur. Wake mama's biggest bets instead of debts. I never had I thought it looked like this. It's taken a long, long time to learn the lines of my face. It's taken a long, long time. It's taken a long, long time. It's taken a long, 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 long time to learn the lines of my face.
Wonderful song from Preacher's Wife, right here in the Sunlit Room. All right, the new CD, it's called To Learn the Land and Live. And it'll be available for the very first time this Saturday night at the CD release show at the Cannery right here in downtown Everett. Now, I wanted to ask you guys a little bit about your songwriting process. There's currently 6 members in the band. Does everybody write? Is there one principal songwriter? Just a couple of you? Who does most of the writing in the band?
I'll let you feel that.
Okay. Well, Brad and I tend to write the songs, bring them in like as a whole piece, and then we take them to our band. No problem. We take them to our band, and then they just chop it up to pieces. They make something great, and they do something completely different than I think what we bring into them, and I think that's what's been so exciting about our band, like our specific group of people, is that it feels like a real collaboration. And everyone, you hear, if you come to a live show or you're going to hear the record, you hear everybody's different musical influences, and it's eclectic in a way, but it I feel like it really gels.
It's quite cohesive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is, like Sarah says, it's one of those things where you bring a song and you just have this acoustic guitar and these lyrics that you've written, and you say, here's what I have, and you start playing it, and everyone starts going, I hear this in there, you know, and it's like, it's amazing to have Doug go, I want to do this thing with the drums, and then, you know, Isaac goes, well, I'm hearing this thing with the bass, and then Tyler's like, well, I've got this awesome guitar riff that I, just heard in my head, And so it really is a thing where it starts as this acoustic song and becomes something so much greater. Yeah. Something that you couldn't imagine, because my brain doesn't work the way that those guys' brains work.
Right,
and how incredible that is. And then when you add Paul Roberts on pedal steel, it just makes it.
We're so happy to have Paul.
Pedal steel. I mean, if Heartbreak had a sound, it would be pedal steel.
And he
it really
knows
would.
it too. He plays into that, and I love that about it.
It's some wonderful stuff. Have there ever been any issues? It sounds like you all are really collaborative, as you said, but has there ever been a time when you brought in a song that was really important to you, and you were a little bit leery about some of the changes that folks were putting on? You were like, I don't know if this is really the song for a riff like that. Have there ever been any of those conversations? Or are you pretty open-minded and trustful of each other, where it's just like, hey, just do what you got to do?
I think there are times when we when we have like a goal in mind, and we have those conversations a lot, because the idea for us is like, what is it that we want to get at when we get to the end of the song? And maybe for us that riff fits, but maybe that riff doesn't fit. Maybe after we play it a couple times, we think, no, that's not it. Like, it's something different. We do that a lot.
Yeah, we do.
We spend a lot of time in practice really honing in on like that particular sound that we're going for. And I think that's important. And sometimes it just flows and it works great. And sometimes it's a laborious process.
Sure.
And I think both are good and both are rewarding. So.
Ever run into one of those instances where you were having those conversations, you're like, I just, during rehearsals and practice, for me it's just not working, but then you hear a recording of it, and for some reason in that dynamic you're like, oh, I was wrong, that really does work.
Yeah. I feel like I think that's happened, but we haven't had very many recordings yet.
True.
But on that note, we'll leave it, we'll let it rest and then come back to it. And then a lot of times, if it's not Brad or I, it would be another band member that was kind of iffy on something. And they're like, you know what, I really like that now. And I see how it works. And I do think it's like an evolution, too, with the song. Like, we kind of, our ideas come to fruition over time. So, but yeah, we come around on things all the time. And I also want to comment that the band will give us ideas too about what to do with our vocals or how to change a melody that we bring, and a lot of times it's dead on and it's like better than it was before. So,
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
When you've got that kind of trust that you're open to each other's suggestions like that makes all the difference in a band setting. Yeah. That you can check the ego aside when it needs to be checked, and just go, all right, let me give it a try and see what happens. Because that's not always easy. Even friends or not, sometimes it's difficult.
It's actually, you're right, it's not.
For sure.
Now, as songwriters, do you have specific influences? I know just from listening to your music, I can tell you're both influenced. The whole band is influenced by a lot of different folks. But is there anyone for each of you go-to influence, the person that always seems to light your fire and get that spark going?
Yeah. For me, I think the first time I was just like lit up by music and songwriting was when I got into Joni Mitchell as a kid. I was in middle school and I just devoured her records and loved them. And ever since, you know, she's one of my go-tos. Ani DeFranco is another one for me. I grew up listening to her and being totally inspired. I love her to death. Patty Griffin is another one for me.
Oh yeah, I love her.
Oh, me too. I
She's
just
fantastic.
adore her. And yeah, and I grew up, my parents would listen to James Taylor and Simon and Garfunkel and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And so those guys were like, and so I did as well, and like would take the CDs into my room and play them all the time. And so yeah, those were kind of my base people that kind of got me excited about songwriting, I'd say.
Yeah, I know for me, particularly with these two songs that are on the album, heavily influenced by the great Woody Guthrie, and also Hank Williams Sr., a lot of Billy Bragg, a lot of
I love
Ryan
Billy.
Adams kind of goes in there as well for me. And then, yeah, I mean, for the most part, these two songs here that I wrote on the album are Dust Bowl songs, and very much listen to a lot of Dust Bowl ballads by Woody Guthrie to kind of understand, like, because he lived through that, and I wanted to know, like, what does his voice sound like? Because I was trying to write, I was going for a specific thing, and in writing from that, I wanted to be as accurate as possible with my emotion and all that, and obviously I have my own style, but Woody Guthrie heavily influenced me in those songs there, so.
Now, when it comes to the performance aspect, do you cite the same influences, or do you look to other people for the flair when it comes to a performance?
That is a great
That is.
question.
Ooh, I don't know.
I'm not sure I ever really thought about that. Who do I channel on stage?
I don't see a lot of. I guess I don't get out that much, so I don't. And I'm not like a YouTuber. Super.
Hey, that's
yeah.
fine. I know several artists who, especially when they're getting ready to do a project, they just refuse to have any outside influences because they don't want to. You know, they specifically do not want to channel something that someone
be a
else is
danger.
doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
be yourself.
I was having a conversation with an artist one time, and it was funny. He said he spent the entire afternoon working on this song, and he said it was just the best thing he'd ever written, and he was on fire. And it was just, and when he finished it, he realized it was somebody else's song. You know, I mean, literally. I mean, there were some minor changes, but it was just in total someone else's song.
Dude, I'm really
So it's
spraying
probably
it.
a good thing that you don't, you know, have that many outside influences, because then you're just you, and you don't have to deal with all those comparisons that unfortunately in this country we have to put everything in a box. The music has to have a label, the artist has to have a label, everything has to fit neatly on the shelf, or we just don't know what to do with it. The internet's changing that a little bit, for better or worse. It is definitely changing. Now, can we talk a little bit about the process of recording this album? Because I know it definitely did not go as smoothly as you would have hoped for it. But being the first project, you know, ultimately, can you say that you're happy with the procedure and look forward to the next one?
Oh, yeah.
I'd say now, yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely difficult there for a while. And I think we kept telling ourselves, we're still learning. We don't really know what we're doing here. Like, we've never recorded an album before. And like, I had recorded stuff and Sarah had recorded stuff previously with other people, but this was like something where we were really focusing on we want to get this exactly the way we want to get it. And so we were willing to spend more money than we wanted to spend and a lot more time and scrap the whole first recording that we did and start over again. And in that way, it was good for us. It was a good challenge for us, but it was difficult at times and hard decisions to make.
Yeah. Now, from that first session, when you know you all reached the point where all looked at each other and agreed, you know what, we worked so hard, but this just isn't working, and we have to just stop and start over. What sorts of lessons did you learn from the first experience that made it easier once you regrouped and started again?
Well, this is hard because I don't know how to, like, personal to be about this, but well, I won't mention names. I think
Sure.
I think when we realized that we wanted to do something pretty professional, when we decided to work, the first guy we worked with was pretty new in the field. And so I think that was, honestly, I think that was the biggest thing that was different from the first time to the next time. And it was really hard because we kept trying and trying and trying to make it work the first time and working hours and hours on it, all of us. And so it was a really hard decision to say, you know what, this is just not going to work. Like, we got to do this over and do this with somebody else. And so we were able to hear the person that worked with us, some of the work he's done, and we just loved it. So I think the biggest lesson for us, or for myself, is just to, like, kind of, like, really try to work with people that know their craft and, like, be...
For certain, when you're brand new and it's your first experience, I would say, definitely it's important to have at least one person in the room that's been there before, that's done it all before, because when everyone in the room is learning together at the same time, you can't help but have mistakes.
Exactly.
You know, and the important thing is when there's one person there that's been there before, they know when the mistakes have been made instantly. Sometimes it's a ways down the road before anyone realizes there was a mistake when everybody's brand new.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and
that's
it's,
exactly
there's no faults. I mean, you don't want to name names. I definitely understand that. But it's one of those things where it's no one's fault. It's just you get into a process and realize, shoot, this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, it's your name, it's your money.
Right.
You have to make those hard decisions. And if somebody's feelings get hurt, business is business. Business is business. You got to do what's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially a first release. You've got a lot riding on this, and it's very important, for your future. So
that's right.
Speaking of the CD, if someone cannot make it to the show on Saturday night, how do they get a copy?
Well, we're going to be selling them through SoundCloud right off the bat, and we're getting our iTunes set up too, so we're going to sell it on iTunes as well. But I don't know exactly when that's going to happen. If it's going to be by Tuesday, we're hoping so. But SoundCloud for sure, you can buy it there.
Yeah, and you can also find us on facebook.com/preacherswifemusic.
Perfect.
And if you send us a personal message on there or leave something on the wall, and we can work with you there. We don't mind having that conversation on there as well. But it's on SoundCloud.
Perfect. Yeah, and a great thing, if you catch up with the band on Facebook, you can also keep up to date on all the latest going on, any other shows that pop up for them, wherever they may be. So everybody, really, if you're on Facebook, what is it? Preacher's Wife's Music?
Yeah, Preacher's Wife
And
Music.
check them out on Facebook. All right, we are rapidly running out of time. Can I get one more song out of you guys before we say goodbye?
Switch over here.
And while they are switching over and getting themselves set, let me just take this moment to let everyone know, if you haven't gotten a copy of today's Everett Herald, go out there and pick one up. There's a great feature story on these guys in the newspaper, and you can get more information about the band, about their background, and also about this weekend's show. So go to get yourself an Everett Herald or go to heraldnet.com. Great story with some local interest from our great friends here at Preacher's Wife. And I'm looking at the clock on the walls, and if you guys don't mind, I'm going to take a short 25-second break to take care of a little business, and then we'll come back and get that song for you guys. Is that good?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. In just a moment, we'll have another song from Preacher's Wife. But first, all right, and now, with no further ado, here's one more from Preacher's Wife.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There ain't a road I can travel down.
tempting, and my feet they ain't running. No, my ears are listening to the sound of a life I'm leaving. Turn my back on all alone. Let my soul sink into the ground. See, I had a life and I had a family. I was everything a man could ever be. One way or other, I let them pay the price for all them sins that haunt me. It's not that I want to forget, I just can't remember. See, I'm through asking for the good Lord's grace, for His forgiveness and to see His face. I'm on my own now, I am traveling on, no longer walking in His ways. It's not that I want to forget, I just can't remember. It's not that I want to forget, I just can't remember. I just can't remember. Yeah. Lord, please don't make me remember.
Brad Haney, Sarah Feinberg, Preacher's Wife, them and the whole band, Saturday night at the Cannery in downtown Everett. Thank you both so much. That was wonderful, man. I hope it wasn't too difficult for you.
No, thank you so much for letting us
much
come
for
in.
having
We've
us.
been honored to be here.
It's no problem at all. Any final thoughts you'd like to give to the listeners before we say goodbye?
Come out and see us on Saturday night.
In Cataldo.
And
stay for
Cataldo. Oh,
They're
stay for
just-
Cataldo. They're so good.
Just so good.
Yeah, and then come up afterwards after the show. Come meet us all. We love to talk to people. So
There you go. So it's Saturday night, 8 p.m. at the Cannery. Our new friends, Preacher's Wife, our dear old friends, the Winterlings, and Cataldo. What else are you going to do on a Saturday night, kids? Come on out and have some fun.